Cool. Awesome. We'll get going. Hodger, I appreciate you. Here we go. Hodger Gracie, welcome to Built Not Born.
My pleasure.
Oh,
Great to be
Hodger,
here.
yeah, it's such an honor to have you on. For our listeners who may not be familiar with you and your work, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Roger Gracie. I'm part of the legendary Gracie family who pretty much developed this new version of Jiu-Jitsu. And I've been representing the family, part of the legacy since I was very young. And I've achieved many things through the sport, competing. I fought mainly Jiu-Jitsu my whole life. I had 10 MMA fights.
Hodger, what
This
I'd
is who
like
I
to,
am.
so understated. Hodger, what I'd like to do is first off, discuss your epic career, 10-time world champion, considered the greatest BJJ fighter of all time. Your amazing new book, The Warrior Mindset, The Tao of a Champion, which is fantastic. It's blown away how good it was. But I'd like to start
Thank
off
you.
with this. How does someone who was picked last for soccer, slowest bike rider, afraid to swim, held back by fear, hid in the bathroom so they didn't get beat up by their sister. And at 15, if you ask their parents, would they become a world champion? Their parents would say a hard no. How does that person become a 10-time world champion and the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter of all time?
I mean, I think something clicked inside me when I was about that age. And, my mom is Gracie, not my father, even though that my father is legendary on the sport. But for many years, he was sort of away from the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. And when I was at that age, 15, my dad was living abroad. He was in Japan, and then he moved to the UK. And so I've never, since a kid, I've never really experienced what it actually means to be a Gracie, living male Gracie, teaching jiu-jitsu. I mean, now you have my cousin Kira, which is a female, having the same sort of a life. But, before it was, so I've never really saw what it is to have a dad, having a gym, training every day, going to the gym, talking about jiu-jitsu. And when I went to spend my holidays with my uncle Helion in the south, my cousin Hollis was living with him. Hollis is slightly older than me, I think by 3 years, something like that. And I've just fell in love of what it means to be Gracie, having an academy, going back and forward, every day, training, resting, developing the art, always trying to improve. So I think that was the closest I was from the Gracie lifestyle. And, I just loved that life. When I came back to Rio, I was like, this is what I want. I wanted that for me. And that's when I started training, dedicating training every day. And then I'm like, I got inspirations from the other people in my family, all the champions before me, but just not just for the champions, from everybody else. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want. I want to be the next one.
Do you remember the moment where your family's mission, coming from such a legendary family, the Gracie family, where your family mission became your mission, where you took the mantle and you said, that's it, I'm going to be the greatest of all time? Do you remember that moment?
I don't remember a particular moment that I'm like, this is it, something. I think since I've decided make that part of my life, to follow the Gracie lifestyle, training every day, because before that I wasn't really training. And then I'm like, man, this is awesome. I need to train. I need to have jiu-jitsu as part of me. And the moment that I start training, and I think it started with I hate losing. So when I start training more regularly, I'm like, I just need to be good. I gotta train. People were like catching me. I'm like, no, 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 no. I have to train to beat him. So first it started inside the dojo. I'm like, the guys were beating me, like I need to train to beat him up. And then I think there was just one thing leads to another, and then competing. And then I'm like, okay, so now I made myself a goal. I'm like, I need to be the best. I'm not just gonna, it's not just my friends in the academy now. I'm like, I'm gonna be the best in the world.
Wow. And you write that it's all starts with a decision. You write that in the book, you could change your life in an instant, in one afternoon, just by deciding. Sounds simple, but not easy, right?
Nothing is easy, you know, life is not easy. Nothing comes easy. If it's easy, like if it's easy, everyone would do it, then it would no longer be a goal. If everyone is the same, you know, if everyone decides something, if it's easy to achieve, everybody will do it. Then
No,
it's, you know, it's no longer a challenge.
no.
I think it's like you plant a seed. Everything started with something small. Nothing in this universe start big. When we were born, we were born a very fragile baby. It's like everything in life, you start with just an idea, and you just need to, you know, have the commitment to make it grow.
You, Roger, you became a 10-time world champion with techniques that at the basic core are white belt techniques, white, blue belt techniques, but you refine them to such a level. And you write that the majority of jiu-jitsu people are satisfied with being tough and rolling hard instead of improving their game. From your perspective, Hodger, what's the difference between training hard and training smart?
It's either you just spar or you train with a purpose to develop your technique. It's like everything. Think of a basketball player. If the moment that you want to improve your skills, your coach doesn't go and say, okay, now let's play a game. No, you know, play a game is the least that you do. You throw the ball 1,000 times one angle, 1,000 times the other angles, and then you have all the training simulations that, you know, I give the ball to you, throw on the basket. So that's how you develop your skill, not by fighting, by skill developing. You practice specific things, and then when you put it all together, you know, now when you're able to put it all together, now you determine how good you are overall. So it's about getting better. It's about skill development, not fighting. I think people are used to they go train jiu-jitsu and then they go and they have 10 sparring every day, 10 sparring every day. They'll be tough. I mean, don't take me bad. I've seen right next to me friends and training partners that they were super tough, but that was all they did. They just want to go in the academy and spar hard every day, train hard. Is you hit a wall. You know, you will have gaps in your game that you won't develop because you're just not spending time developing those specific gaps that you have. You want to train everything. Like how many times, you know, someone has your back and has a collar on your neck, or how many times you in a, you know, someone is mounted on you. How many times someone is trying to choke, or how many times someone is trying to attack your arm lock, you know, your arm. So it's like you need a lot of time to spend in those situations to develop your skills, either attacking and defending, you know, both ways. So it's a lot of technical development, work in specific areas in your game, not just sparring. And that I've done my whole life. That's why I became so good, because I've always dedicated a lot of my time to specific training.
Let's go a little deeper there. So, all right, say there's a white, purple, brown belt. They learn a move, an escape for the first time. So you learn the move. Maybe you drill it in class for 20 minutes. How long does the drilling phase last to the point where you start doing the technical sparring against resistance? Like, what do you think a good for someone who wants to up their game and like learn from what you've done and bring it into their academy? What do you think a good percentage is or game plan is from drilling to go to technical sparring, then to hard sparring? How does that work in your mind?
I mean, you learn the mechanic of a move, right? Because I mean, in the ideal world, like when you learn a movement, for example, if you're going to teach me a movement that I'm like, you know, I'm not familiar, I want to learn the movement that you teach me. So you show me the move. Now I'm going to practice, you know, I'm going to drill it. So I'm just going to, with your body static, I'm just going to go and learn how the mechanic works. And after I learn the mechanics, there is no more mechanic to learn. There's no more static position to practice. Now I'm going to tell you, just simulate a realistic resistance on your body. So now you're not fully resistant, but you kind of simulating, if I pull here, there's a natural reaction for every time someone pulls your arm, right? You resist, you pull back, your body's rigid. So, and then from there, you simulate a more realistic approach with the other person acting the way a realistic scenario would work. And from there, you just build up. And then you go, okay, now fully resist when I'm trying to pull. And let me feel when you're doing for me to feel your reaction. That's how you learn. A white belt is impossible because white belt trains with white belts. And a white belt will not gonna react the way you should. So in a white belt class, they will drill the technique to the point that they think, they will remember, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever time you think is necessary for them to kind of understand the mechanic. And then that's the specific sparring. Now start on that position and just see what happens. And then he'll start having a rough understanding of how to apply that movement. It's difficult, takes longer because the reaction never comes the way he should. The person he's training with is not going to react the way he should if he's in the same level. But when the person is more skilled, his partner, ideally, he would react as you should react on that scenario. So you will have a quickly understand if that position works or not. I think that, a lot of people, there's like, oh, look at the movement I'm doing. I'm trying this, this sweep, and then I'm catching everybody. And then, the moment that you react the way you should, or you react in a different way, the move will stop being effective. So it depends, of your partner to react in a way that is correct.
When you're in that process and say you're with a partner, or maybe you come to a new position or a situation that maybe you haven't seen before, or maybe you're struggling with, maybe you saw it before, but you're struggling with, what's your process to understand it and solve it? How do you go about that?
You gotta put yourself in that scenario. Start on the scenario that you're struggling, and then start from there. And how long you're gonna struggle for? Quite a while. It might take weeks, maybe a month for you to feel comfortable in that position. But the more you practice that specific scenario, the more comfortable that position gets for you, until the point that, like, okay, now I've been in this position for so many times that I feel pretty comfortable. Now I already know all the possibilities that can happen. What can you actually do to me from that position? There's not that many, every specific position that you can think of, there's only a handful of scenarios that can happen. We're not talking about fighting in general. That specific position, when we disengage from that position, is no longer, everything changes. So that specific position, the longer you place yourself and you fight from that position, the more comfortable you will get. Mount. You can say, oh, I hate mount. I'm struggle. The people are on top of me. I'm suffocated. I cannot escape. And every time I try something, I get tapped, or like, okay. So that's being the mount, being the bottom today, tomorrow, the day after. Every time you come train, you'll be in the mount. I'll tell you, if you're very unfamiliar with that position, it will take you a while to become comfortable. And that while might be 2 years, maybe 3 years, 6 months. I mean, who knows, depending on the position. So it's like how much you want to spend your time until you're very comfortable. So I think that's, what is the commitment. If you want to be really good in something, you have to practice as much as you have to until you're actually good at that position.
You write in your book, speaking about being put in bad positions, you put, when you moved to London, there were really maybe only one world-class person near you, and you trained with your purple belts and just intentionally put yourself in bad positions, and your game really developed from there. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, that's when it came really skills development. So the training now, there was not a lot of sense for me to just spar. So the sparring became like secondary to, not, very far behind the training, because you won't get nothing of just sparring with something that is very inferior to you if you just do the same things over and over again. So if I'm sparring with you and then I'm just doing the things that I'm good at, I will catch you because I'm better. So I'm not improving. I'm not developing anything. So you have to start practicing the thing that you're not good at it. That's what I did. I start practicing every single area that it needs improvement, not the things that I was actually good at it. And I mean, people get good, like, a tough purple belt sometimes it's just as good as a good black belt. It's very close. So it's you can very comfortably improve training with tough purple belts, like as much as you would with a black belt. Put a purple belt in your back, tell him to grab your collar, try to get out.
Hmm.
Purple belt or black belt, you will struggle the same way.
Yeah,
Makes no difference. Like, it depends if you create a scenario, you place them there. It's very similar.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. How about this? Moving over to your competitive mindset and just during your competitive matches, you write in the book, you were known as a slow starter. Your first match was always your biggest struggle. Why do you think that was the case, and how did you learn to overcome it?
I think that's genetics, the way my body works. It's ever since the beginning, forever, since I start competing, I'm not a very fast person. Like sprinting, I'm way behind the line if you're gonna, race to the finish line. So if I try to force myself to start hard, I will guess. So I'll just be tired. So for me, I always knew I cannot start the fight very fast because I will guess before the end. So I have to start slow. So that was just the way that I was from the beginning. I always knew I have to start slow and build the pace as the fight goes because I would guess. Like every single time that I start too fast, I guess. Now I'm like really struggling in the end. So I always start with a slow pace because of that.
You also write, Hajar, that your style is not explosive, but a steady pace, like a constant steady pace, but not really explosive. Where did you develop the style from, and who do you think your biggest influence was to create this style that worked for you?
I think that style I created myself, just like I said, because my body type. Because you need to finish strong. You cannot finish dying. So I learned how to build up the momentum as the fight progress, but starting in a slow place and then just building from there. I think that I naturally developed because of my physique.
Here's something I just found insane. In the book, you write in 2008 and 2010, you fought in MMA matches just 2 weeks before the Jiu Jitsu Worlds. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's your preparation? Like, how's your preparation different from an MMA fight to a Jiu Jitsu fight? And do you feel the ramifications? Do you feel like a little drained from you're only at 2 weeks in between? Like, how'd that work for you?
I felt drained, but mainly my biggest challenge, it was the muscles that you develop training with the gi, especially your grips
Mhm.
from no gi. So when I transitioned to compete after, I've just felt I didn't had the normal strength I did from training like for weeks with the gi. So like my grips were off. I had no power on my grips. And my body was a little bit fatigued because I've just, after like a fight, everything you want to kind of relax and slow down, and then suddenly you're putting yourself into a stress training again. But I didn't stop, so I just carry on with the pace I had. But it is difficult because the break to traveling to compete, the weight cut that I always have to do, so everything get disrupted like for 10 days prior to that fight, and then traveling again home, and then wherever I'm to the California, wherever the world was.
Mhm.
So it was difficult. I have to say it was not easy, but it's at that point I chose to carry on fighting jiu-jitsu. So I was actually the worlds were the only tournament I was competing. So for me, it was like I cannot wait 2 years to compete again. For me, it was just too long. I'm like, I don't have 2 years to
Yeah.
wait, so I have to do it. So I'm like,
The time's always now, right? Because you don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen 2 years from now, right? You get sick,
yeah,
you get in a car
yeah,
accident, like you have no idea. Like you have no idea what life's going to throw at you 2 years down the road, right? And so the
yeah,
time's now. No, it's
yeah.
moving over. Part of the book I just loved is you talk about your mentors, your influences, and your philosophy. Love the Stoicism references, man. It's so good. Yeah, it's
Thank you.
so good. Let's start off with Henzo. You trained with Henzo during your legendary 2005 run. You say his influence was mindset, spirit, legacy. When you think of Henzo, what specifically did he teach you, and what did you learn from him, and how did he change your approach to everything?
I think apart from the technical side, which, of course, he helped me a lot also, but it's more his warrior spirit, the facing your challenges, like face head on, like when you're in a fight, like no fear, go in, you have to do it, like no challenge is big enough, no challenge is too big. So I think that fearless mentality, like head on to your challenges, go, you're going to win no matter what. I think his motivation, that's he's very, very unique with that for sure.
You mentioned, unfortunately, you crashed this car once.
Yeah,
What happened there? What's that story?
I gave PT on his car, like total loss.
Really? Was that New York
I
or?
was up, it was in New York. I was driving down the freeway, it was running. I wasn't even going too fast. And then as we had the curve, I slowly turned the wheel, but it plateaued. So the wheel turned and the car just went straight
Really?
into a wall. Yeah, in the middle of the freeway, hit one wall and then automatically came the other one. I was wearing no seat belt and I kind of fell down on the passenger's seat.
Hands up to say, was he cool?
He was very cool.
Go ahead.
As always, yeah, he was like,
I,
he laughs and say, no problem, leave it there. Like, you know,
I
Hanzo was being Hanzo, everything is fine.
One of my favorite Henzo reels on Instagram is he's teaching a move, and you're like the uke, and he just said, "Hey, this guy was a fat little kid a couple years ago," and you're like, "Henzo, just teach the move." Like he's telling a story about you growing up, and you go, "Henzo, just teach the move. No more stories." That's
Yeah,
good.
when he teaches like half of the lesson, I mean, maybe two-thirds of the lesson is about the story. And then one third is about the actual technique.
Dude, he's awesome. I never met him. I've been to the academy there in New York once. He just wasn't there when I was there. But that blue basement's
Um,
epic, man. That's how
yeah,
much time
Hanzo
did you
is
spend? How much time did you spend in the blue basement?
a lot of time. I think since 2003, from the first ADCC, I used to almost like at least, I would say almost half of my year was that training,
Wow.
almost maybe a bit less, because then I start in all the no gi. I start doing that when my first few MMA fights, the first ones I had, I used to go there to train. So like for a good, I'll say 3 4 years, maybe five, I was there a lot, a few times a year for like a couple weeks at a time.
How much time did you spend with Danaher? And was Gordon there at the time? Or you guys across the?
No, when the beginning, Danahan was not the Danahan that of today.
Okay.
He was one of the instructors in the academy. He
Mm.
was like, of course, knowledgeable. But like, like 2003, 4, 5, he was just a normal instructor in the academy. It was like very early stages of his career. He was still developing his coaching skills. And I think later on, like the last maybe few times, definitely the last two times that I went to New York to train for MMA fight, like he helped me quite a lot on the training. But before like 2003, ADCC, 2005, even 2007, maybe, he wasn't part of the much of the teaching team. He wasn't the Danahan of
Oh,
today.
today. He was John Danaher before John Danaher.
Yeah.
So I'm in Philly, and the I trained at Balance Studios, and with Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman was one of my old training partners back in the day. And anyway, I'm around 2009, just before 2010. I'm with a student who would travel back and forth to New York and take privates at Henzo's Academy. And our main instructor, one of our main instructors, is Phil Migler. He's here, and he owns a school. And he goes, "Hey, I found someone in New York whose privates are as good as Phil's. They're amazing." And and I go, "Who?" And they're like, "His name's John Danaher," and they're amazing. And it's like someone discovered him way before he got popular. But anyway, great story. Now, I appreciate you sharing that. You write a lot about chess and how you started playing. And when you started playing chess, you were way too aggressive and got in trouble on the chessboard. And that lesson helped you on the mat. What did chess teach you about strategy, competition, and patience?
So when I started really getting into chess much, I wasn't really competing anymore. But I think the chess thinking on the mental side for you to, the analytical side, it makes you really analyze. In chess, I don't know if you play chess, but you need to analyze every movement. And there's almost, there's no way back. Once you make a mistake, you lose a piece, it's almost over. So whoever makes the first mistake, usually, in a high level, usually loses the game. In Jiu-Jitsu, we have the ability to reset. You disengage and you reset again. It's the possibilities once you make a move, when you're about to move a piece in chess, there's all the possibilities that's possible in that specific scenario. I think in Jiu-Jitsu, it's the same. It's exactly the same as chess, with the resetting part of it. But if you couldn't reset, if you had to just from that progress forward, it's what the possibilities where every time you make a move, it's like, where would that lead you? Would that lead you to like to advantage position, or it looks a good move, but down the road you'll be problematic. I think it's the same when you start, developing your skills in jiu-jitsu, when you do the specific position, when you're starting in a specific scenario, you're trying to find out the possibilities. What should I do on that scenario? So you're trying different things, and most of the things you try, you see you trouble down the line. This way, when I push the leg here, he catches my arm, so I know I cannot push. So it's the same. So you start thinking, you see the different directions that your move will lead you. So it's, you figure out the best way forward. What's the best next move. So it's very similar. Since I was a kid, I always heard Jiu-Jitsu is like chess. I could never really understand what people mean. Okay, you get the moves, step by step. I move here, you move there. So it's two, you competing about you're attacking each other in the board, and you're trying to checkmate, which is the submission. But the so analytic that you go is actually step by step. If you
Mhm.
slow down to slow motion, then it's really a chess game. If you slow down jiu-jitsu, the thing is, it's difficult to understand that it's a very fast pace. No, chess is very slow. But
Mhm.
if you slow down fighting, you work out exactly the same way.
That's great perspective. Another part of the book I just love. You have so many influences. You quote the Stoics, Epictetus, Seneca. You reference Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, Nietzsche, Amor Fati, Winston Churchill, Julius Caesar. Awesome. It's just, you could tell you're a big reader, and you mentioned a lot of neuroscience research. Hadjar, how much reading do you do? And how does philosophy shape your approach to martial arts and life?
I think it helps. Philosophy is the mind side of it. And I love reading. I think, a lot of the times I don't watch TV. Okay, I do watch, but it's like I think I love reading. I love read a good story. I love read sometimes, fiction, mixed with reality, with facts. So I think reading, we let our brain create the scenario. You bring us to a different world, not what we're seeing in front of us. But it's by reading, we are creating the word of the letters, the book
Mhm.
into our brain. And I love that, and I think it's, it's difficult to see the world with what we have around us. We need information of things that happen and things for us to make better decisions. I think it's good to be inspired by great figures of the past. So yeah.
What book's on your nightstand now? What's the last book you've been reading?
What's the last book I was reading? I just read I finished a fiction book Sometimes it's before sleep or when I travel, sometimes I read fiction. Just finished reading Musashi for like the fifth time.
Really? Musashi, really?
Yeah, Miyamoto Musashi.
The Five Rings, the Five Ring book?
No, they actually the history.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so great. That the Five Rings book is just
Yeah, the
amazing.
five ring is pretty good too.
I see a lot of Stoics here mentioned in the book. Are you a Ryan Holiday fan? Are you familiar with him?
Not so much.
Okay, I got a book for you. I'm going to send you as a thank you for
Please
coming
do.
on the show. I got one for you. How about this? Let's get over to epic moments. Let's start with that epic brown belt fight with Jacaré Souza. What do you remember most about the match? And what did that teach you about your own limits, that legendary brown belt match?
I think, the limits that there are no limits. I think I was it was almost like a step before you go to in the professional level, which is, the black belt. That's where the best of the best are.
Mm.
So for years I've been training every day, going through the color belts. You get big challenges in tournaments. I was like winning world championships in other belts. I had pretty big challenges in the academy, but in terms of like competing, the real challenges is only the black belts. So when I was like a brown belt, I knew I'm just one step in to go fight against the best people that they were winning world championships when I was a blue belt or even before that. Like that's the real challenge. You want to be really good. Those are the people that you have to be. So it's now the brown belt world championship is like, okay, this is the last phase. And the biggest challenge was Jacaré because we almost went belt by belt throughout the years. Yeah, I was a blue, he was blue, purple, purple, and then brown, brown. So we kind of, I watched him the same competing right next to me for 4 years. So I knew that was like a big challenge. And I, compared to everyone else I was fighting, watching him compete, he was like destroying everybody. Like he was by far the best one out of all the brown belts. And like every belt he competed, he was like destroying everybody on his belt. It was slightly lighter than me. So we never fought in the weight division. And in the absolute, when I fought as a blue belt, I lost. I won my weight division, the worst, but I lost on the open. Purple belt, I won my weight division, I lost on the open. And then brown belt, okay, and then I finally made it to the finals of the world championship in the absolute division. Now it's like me and him. So for me, it was like I need to beat this guy because if I lose to him, that's not a good sign because I know next time my next challenge might be the absolute black belts.
Mm.
And they are way better than everybody else I just fought in the brown belt. Like there's no comparison. So if I want to actually do well against in the black belt division, I cannot lose to a brown belt. But I knew it was a big challenge. It was like I've watched him destroy people for the past few years, but I was very confident. I knew I could beat him. I knew what I was capable of. It was a very hard fight, like very hard. And
When
yeah.
you go into a fight like that, do you have a game plan or are you taking what they give you? If that's a fair question.
I had a game plan because back then I didn't had any stand-up. So my stand-up game was not good. So I had to, and his stand-up game was excellent. So I knew I cannot stand with him. That was my game plan. Apart from that, is you take what the fight brings you. But I knew there's one thing I cannot do with him is be on my feet. So I
Mhm.
got to pull guard. That was the game plan.
And one thing you do in the guard I have never seen before, like when I say we pass the guard and someone puts the knee up, like the knee in between the guard, like the close, someone breaks the close, breaks it, but like slits the knee between the guard.
Yeah.
And I usually feel pretty good there, but then you're sweeping people from that position, right? I
Yep.
don't think I've ever been swept. Like, how do you do that? And like, where did you develop that? That's crazy.
So I developed because I love close guard and open guard. Once the person is very loose in your guard, it's hard to control him because now he's going to dance around you.
Mhm.
He stand up, he's gonna give you, he's gonna come blitz you in your guard. So it's hard to control someone. So how can you control the other person in your guard? And is very if you're on your knees, if you're on top and you're fighting on your knees, you cannot, from open guard, you cannot place both knees on the floor. Otherwise, I can attack you easily. I can shoot triangle, I can close the guard, I will if I want. So for you, especially for you to defend, you need to bring that knee up. So one your leg is down, but the other
Mhm.
knee is up. And I've learned being in that position, I'm like closing my guard around you, even with the knee on top,
Wow.
like to slow you down. So okay, now as long as I have my leg crossed on your body, even with your leg in between, I know there's no surprise. You're not going to jump and suddenly give me a lot of trouble. Everything that happens here, I will be able to see it and react upon. And from that position, I'm like always looking to what can I do. And then to sweep you forward is hard because you have your knee on the floor. So I'm like, if I push you backwards, you have nothing. And then
Wow.
I learn how to sweep the person backwards. I mean, in the end, I developed, I could sweep you both ways, but mainly backwards with the way I swept.
That is cool because I have not seen anyone in competition do that before, and that is so
Yeah,
cool.
I haven't either.
that's that's secret sauce there, man. That is now. Could a little dude like I'm 5'6" with my sneakers on and 140 pounds? Could a little dude do that, or is there some size you think you need some leverage? You have to be a bigger dude
If
like you.
against a small dude, it can be done,
It can be done, really.
but
Okay,
not against a big dude.
not against a big dude. So little dude can't do it to a
No,
big dude.
yeah,
Okay, okay. I
no,
feel
you
better.
cannot.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I just love the mindset stuff in books from champions like yourself. All right, so let's get to Buchecha. You prep for your fight for Buchecha. You trained with your students in London, but then at night, the night before, you're watching Braveheart, Gladiator, 300, The Last Samurai. Just awesome. Just these epic movies where you just want to tackle somebody,
Yeah.
right? When did you start developing that? When did you start doing that? And when you're watching those movies, what are you hoping to get? What's going on in the mind?
It's first, like the day before every tournament, for me, I'm just want to relax. I just want to stay in my room or in my hotel room, and either in my house. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to spend any energy. Just want to relax. I'm fighting tomorrow. I'm gonna move as little as I can, and then like what to do. Then let me watch something that might inspire me for the next day. I need something that will inspire me. And then Braveheart, after you see it first, it's very inspirational. I love Braveheart, and then that was like my one go movie. If I watch nothing that I have to watch the day before, I must have watched it like 20 times. I don't know. You got to the point that I even knew what he was about to talk, about to speak. And then I'm like, okay, what next? And then you have, the others too. There's like, it's quite good. Not as good as Braveheart in terms of like sparring, I think. But yeah, but good enough.
Yeah. Gladiator, did you ever think about after you finished your guy, you get up like Maximus and say, "Are you not entertained?" And like just walk around
Yeah,
the walk around the mat and
yeah.
give the Maximus. Staying on Buchecha for a second. So he was from the book, The Facts Out, 11 years younger, 14 kilograms heavier. You say stronger, faster, but you think you won the mental game before the physical one, right? Walking in the ring. What do you do? How do you win that mental game? Like, what did you do?
When you feel the other person start to be tense, nervous, your body read the other person. And it was like small things. We were doing interview together we did a few prior to the fight. And every next interview that we did, like I could feel, the tension in the air, like the atmosphere, we're about to fight each other. So it's a weird environment. But once I start joking around, there was one interview that I did. I think my cousin Kira was there, and then I don't remember exactly what we were saying, or either she asked, but I remember suddenly I grab his arm, and then I say, I'm gonna submit with you in an arm lock. And then he gave like a nervous laugh, and then I grab his neck. I say, okay, okay, so it's gonna be the neck then. So it's so it's before a fight, someone is jokingly, of course, was like in a very friendly way, but like the guy that I'm about to fight, he grabs my neck and say that's how he's gonna submit me. Like you pretty be you must have you must feel pretty comfortable to say that in front of the other person, like I'm gonna submit you. And then I go, okay, not on the neck. I'm actually gonna submit you in the arm. Ha ha ha. It puts you in, I think, in a disadvantage when you don't like how you react. And you can feel he's like he gives a nervous laugh. And I could feel that I'm winning the mental game because I'm telling him I'm very relaxed. I'm more relaxed than he is, and I'm telling him that I'm going to submit him.
Wow.
And suddenly he gets, even more tense. So I think it's sort of a pre-fight mental game.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's where champions are made. It all starts in the mind first. And fast forward to today. Are you guys friends? Do you keep in touch? Like you and
Yeah, we're
Buchecha?
friends. We're friends. Yeah,
Do you guys ever train together just for like
a few
spar?
times. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we train. Yeah, we
Reminds me
did.
of, did you see Rocky when like Apollo Creed and him are like
Yeah.
in the gym at night by
Yeah, yeah,
themselves?
yeah. No, now we're good friends. We trained together a few times after that fight.
Wow, that's so cool. So you mentioned in the book, getting back to your mindset, you write the quote from your book, it's not about winning, it's about finishing your opponents. So you didn't want to win the tournament, you didn't want to win on points. The whole thing was submitting your opponent. Why was that important? And then where's that mindset come from?
Because my goal, it was not to win tournaments. My goal was to be the best. This is my number one goal. Everything else, it makes no difference. I could never had won any tournaments, but if I was a number one, that's what I wanted to achieve. Tournaments is just a way to get there, right? The way
Mhm.
for you to challenge and face people. That's, for you to be number one, you have to go and beat everybody. But if you win by points, who is the best? I've seen guys that are worse than the other winning.
Mhm.
So winning in itself doesn't really mean much. It's how you win. Like it's you can win by because you were better that day. You had a better fight, you had a better match. The everything was aligned on your side and you won that fight. Does not mean you were better than the other person. So for me, winning would just win is not, it wasn't enough. It's
Mhm.
like I need how the only way that I can prove that I'm the best if I submit you. This is the only way. If I win by points, it means nothing. So it's like I had to submit my opponents. So that was something that I had to do.
Wow, you had to do. That's baller. How about in your post-competition training? What does that look like? Do you focus more on experimentation, fun, playfulness, or do you still have that competitive aspect when you're on the mat? What's that look now like when you're in your academy rolling?
Now, this time, no less because I don't have the physical to back up my will. I mean, I wish I had, but like 44, my physical it does not match my mind. So now I have to just accept that I'm past my peak. I'm 44 years old. I cannot keep up with the speed of the young man anymore. I mean, I'm still tough, but it's like but I don't have the stamina and the pace that I used to have. So now it's different goals.
Diff- I love the different goals. That's real, man. I'm 50 and I
Yeah.
know the deal, man. I know the deal. Jesus. Haz, what I'd like to do is just to switch over real quick to a part of the interview we call Share Your Secrets. So our listeners can get to know you more as a person. I mean, 10-time world champion, considered the greatest of all time. You have an academy. You went through MMA bouts, Jiu Jitsu at the highest level. When you need to clear your mind and recharge your body, what do you do?
I meditate.
Really? What's that
Yeah.
look like?
There's different ways to meditate. You can do guided meditate. You can focus on your breathing, but I think the whole point is for you to shut down your mind.
Mhm.
It's get all the brain activity that we get, all the thoughts, that goes from one thing to the other constantly, and you want to slow that down. So it's whichever way you want to do that, it's the same goal. So for me, meditating, it's, you can focus on your breathing, close your eyes, and for as long as you can. I do guided meditation. So, I try to put myself in a empty space, and I, yeah, that's how I do it.
How often, like how long are the sessions? How often do you do it?
Between 30 minutes to an hour, I do every day, sometimes twice a day.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And is a game changer.
Yeah.
Your focus, you're more calm, tranquil. I'm a much better person meditating every day by far.
Is it morning or night? What's the best?
I always prefer morning, the first thing when I wake up. I do some breath work I think the breath work helps to clear your mind, put your body in a more calmer state. So the mind, it relax. And then I meditate. If I do first thing in the morning, I have a much better result than any other time during the day, because as the day goes by, your brain is a lot more alert, so it's a lot
Yeah.
harder to shut down,
Oh,
like a
so
lot
true.
harder.
And you do it in the morning and just puts your mind in another direction where like if something crazy happens an hour into the day, you respond to it better
Yeah,
because you're in a better headspace, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
for
much better
sure.
than at night when all that stuff's bouncing around to calm it down.
Yeah.
That's great. Hadra, most authors like yourself are big readers. First off, when you wrote the book, what did you learn about yourself? When you look back at your career and your life and your grandfather and your sister and all this stuff, when you look back and you put it all on paper at the end, what did you learn?
I think you learn how to be more open, like to kind of deal with the emotions because you have to deal with them. I'm putting them into paper. I'm writing down for the whole world to read. So you feel like it's almost like a therapy session. There's like it clears you in a way that, like, past things that you might were bothering you, or like, suddenly it's like a therapy session, I would say, because you open in your life to everyone. So you cannot be, if you're writing down something that you're still struggling to deal with or still cause some sort of emotional problem, it's harder, it'll be harder to deal. So I think it helps you deal with all the problems you had in the past.
Yeah, it takes courage, doesn't it? It does. I mean, that's a different type of courage. It really
It's,
does.
it's, it's not easy for you to write down your weakness for
Hmm.
everybody to read.
Yeah, you got to put your ego to the side, and but then like your best self emerges from that. And you
Yeah.
wrote a remarkable book that helps a lot of people. How about this? What book most influenced your life or changed your mind? Do you have a favorite book or one you keep going back to?
I'll say there's a few, when you read of Gandhi, I think to read that there are people like that, that's, you know, and then you compare yourself to people like that, you're like, you see you're so far behind the line, like the possibilities or what it means to be a great person. And, I think fighting, I had other impacts from people. It was more like I want to read about the conquerors, like who really face incredible challenges and came out on top. I mentioned Alexander the Great. Like, imagine doing what he did.
Yep.
I mean, it's like getting yourself in an army, invading, like going thousands of miles in a direction that is like there is no coming back from there.
Hmm.
You lose this battle, everybody dies. And the whole thing, like, but if imagine going there, like putting yourself in that place, fighting like a huge army, like huge, and look at the challenge that he had in front of him, and he came out believing that he would be on top. It's, do you not believe on yourself?
Hmm.
Imagine what he believed.
Yeah.
Look, it's Caesar, like Julius Caesar, even Genghis Khan. Okay, he decimated a tenth of the world population, but I'm not saying that it is a great thing, but imagine his life story, going from like nothing and becoming what they became.
Yeah.
Imagine the willpower of someone like that. That's what I really admired, and I really love reading about them. It's like, imagine the willpower for you to build what they built, the challenge that they face. And that's what I have my inspirational for. It's like I want to build something great in my life. I want to face those challenges. It's fear cannot hold me back. Fear holds everybody's back.
Mhm.
Like people, they stay comfortable, they stay in a, in that state of life that they get because it's comfortable that way, because they fear their unknown. Once you step into the unknown, it's a fearful place.
Yeah,
But
fear.
those that actually conquer things in life, in anything, is when they actually step into that place and face their fear, face their voice, say no,
Yeah.
you know?
And and that can be stepping onto the mat, or that could be writing your career down, writing your life down in a book and like exposing all your weaknesses, right? So
That
there's
can be anything.
physical fear, mental fear, like
Yeah.
it's all fear, right? And
It's all fear.
fear
It's
holds you
all
back.
fear to doing something, regardless of what the thing is.
Yeah. And your best version of you is on the other side of that fear, right?
It's you ask for power. You're not born with power. You're born with challenges. You want to be strong. If without challenges, you're not strong. You think you're only strong if you face challenges and comes out on top. You have to prove you're strong. If you not prove you're strong, if you never had any challenges in your life, you're not strong. You think you are. You might be. I'm not saying you're not. You might be,
Hmm.
but you will only know after you face that challenge, not before.
Yeah.
It's
There's
like saying you would win a fight without actually fighting that fight.
it don't work.
Yeah,
It's like that great Seneca line. He said something, I feel bad for people that never face the challenges because they have no idea what they're capable of. Like that
yeah,
great Seneca line.
yeah.
Awesome. Wrapping up here, so just a few questions to wrap up here. Hodger, if there's someone listening out there, there's some blue belt, purple belt training at their local academy. They've been training for a few years. They feel plateaued, frustrated. They're doubting themselves after years of training. They feel like they're not getting any better, spinning their wheels. What's like one thing you tell them to do this week to get things right?
Keep training. You building something is a step at a time. Everybody plateau. Everybody has your bad moments, moments that you feel you're going nowhere. You're actually going backwards. It will pass. It doesn't matter what you're feeling now. You carry on doing what you're doing, and you will go through to that problem. That is the only way for you to get better. It's giving up is it cannot be an option. This is a coward way out. So stay on your track, keep training, keep showing up, one step at a time.
That's great. Just keep at it. That's great advice. Wrapping up here, Hodger, we spoke about a lot. Your legendary career, your book, your family, your competitive mindset. Hodger, if you could have everyone listening take just one lesson away from everything we discussed, what would that lesson be?
A lot of people think they're not capable of doing something. They see what someone else did and they think, oh, that person has something that I don't. That's why he is where he is. But I think you're completely wrong. Like you have what it takes. You just need to start. And it's the fear of failure that holds you back. It doesn't matter time how many you fail. One day you will succeed.
That's great. All right, so Hodger, two fun questions to wrap all of this up. I asked this of all the guests. First fun question, Hodger Gracie, if you could spend the day with anyone, famous or not famous, alive or dead, who would you spend the day with?
Holy shit. If I could spend a day with someone, oof, that's a big question because I'm between, I don't know, Alexander the Great or Buddha. I'm like,
That's
do
good.
I go spiritual or do I go my warrior?
Maybe
You
we're
know,
doing
it's,
we're playing, say a tennis, you're playing tennis, you're playing doubles tennis. You get to pick three partners to play with you for doubles tennis. Who are you playing with?
man, I would spend with Buddha,
Buddha. What would you do with them?
learn,
Learn. That'd be epic.
listen. Yeah, listen. That's the least we can do, right?
That's hard to listen. And that's so hard. And it's everyone loves to talk, but when you listen, that's when you learn, right? That's where you connect. That
Yeah.
listening is like that lost art. That is so great. Buddha. Just you can meditate with them. Just sit by a river. You know what I mean? Sit by a river and talk to them.
Give me a direction, like
Yeah. Oh my
show
gosh.
me something.
Yeah. Show me a good guard open. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's got something good. You know what I mean? Last question, Haja. This has been awesome. Haja Gracie, if you had to get a quote or a saying tattooed on your body, what would that quote or motto say?
I'll say, don't give up to fear.
Don't give up to fear. That's like a mic drop. That is awesome. Don't give, and that just goes with your book and like where you started and where you are. Don't give up to fear. I think that is about as good as a spot as any to wrap this up. Hajar, I'd like to close with some of your own words from the book. And I quote, this is from Hajar Gracie's book, The Warrior Mindset, The Tao of a Champion. And I quote, Jiu Jitsu taught me that you don't need to be the fastest, the strongest, or the most talented. You need to be the most committed to mastering the fundamentals, the most willing to face your fears, and the most patient in your pursuit of excellence. The warrior mindset isn't about defeating others, it's about conquering yourself. That's how you become a champion. That's how you become complete. The guest is 10-time world champion, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Hajar Gracie. Hajar, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I admired you from afar for such a long time and such an honor to speak with you.
Thank you, Joe. It was a pleasure being here.
Now, Hajar, people are looking for you, your book, your courses, your academy online. Where can we find you?
Books Online is on Amazon. I think you can find a lot of my teachings online on rogergracietv.com. And if you want to see me, come to London.
Awesome. And next time I'm in London, I'm going to come. And what you can do, you could sweep me. Just let me get the knee up, then you can sweep me with the knee up and the closed guard. Okay. I want to picture that. That's go awesome. Hajar,
Awesome.
I appreciate you. I'll have this up in a few weeks. And dude, just an honor to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for spreading the art.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for writing the book and appreciate you, man. Hopefully one day our paths
Thank you,
cross.
Joe. Hope
Thank
so,
you.
brother. Take
Appreciate.
care.
Thank you, Hajar.